Welcome everyone who's here. So this year's theme is breaking barriers, strategies for women in leadership. And this particular theme is such an important conversation because while women are making incredible strides in leadership, there are obviously still some challenges that we face as women, and these are the challenges that we need to be able to address and overcome. While we also know that these challenges are definitely particular to different geographical locations, we know the challenges that we face as women in leadership in Nigeria. We know the predominant ones, and that's the purpose of setting up this webinar so that we young aspiring women can learn from women who also have gotten the experience. They've been through the system, so they have the knowledge and they have the skill to be able to educate us better. So I think that one of the things I would also like to say before we get into today's session is that leadership isn't just about holding positions of power. It's about influence, it's about resilience, it's about creating a space for others to thrive. So today we have two very much phenomenal speakers who have, they've walked this journey and they'll be sharing their insights, their experiences, and also their strategies on navigating leadership, overcoming those challenges, and, pushing past those limitations. So, our first speaker today is Tumitope Susanya. She's a seasoned project manager with extensive expertise in both agile and waterfall methodologies. She excels in product management and process analysis, effectively managing stakeholder communications and leading diverse functional teams to ensure successful project delivery. So welcome, Ma. We are so privileged to have you in this webinar. Then our second speaker of the evening is Oluwadamilola Adepoju. She's a leading voice in education, policy advocacy, and youth development with over 4 years of experience in project management and social impact programming. She oversees programs across 39 African countries as African Programs Associate at Students for Liberty. She designs and implements programs that empower young African leaders committed to liberty and social change. So welcome very much. Welcome to our webinar. So okay, before we dive into the discussion today, I just want to quickly drop just a bit of information that this is an interactive session. So we need to be able to feel free to just drop our thoughts and our questions in the chat. So if you have any question, if you have an opinion, if you have a thought process, or if you just want to comment on something, please drop it in the chat. But aside that, there would be a question and answer segment towards the end. All right, so I think that's pretty much an overview of everything. So let's kick things off now. We already know that this webinar is going to be a panel session. So basically, you're going to see that it's going to be super interactive. I will just be asking questions, and our speakers are just going to brief us and, educate us on each question for just a couple of minutes. And we are hopefully from that, we are going to be able to learn so much because I personally look forward to learning a lot. So, okay. Miss Temitope, if you don't mind. I think the first question on our list today would be, what's the one challenge you faced as a woman in leadership that no one prepares you for?
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you. My name is Temitope Soya. I'm a Mrs., not a Miss. I don't think I heard that. No worries, let's move on. So, what nobody prepared me for, really, in leadership is that men and women are different. Yeah, I know that from our maybe physiological setup, we are different. But in leadership, we bring different perspectives, we bring different influence, different types of influence, we bring different, I would say different agilities. We lead, men and women lead in different ways. So when I was coming into leadership, I felt, oh, everybody is just the same, that my male colleagues, they will think the same way I will think, and then we are just going to flow. I got a shocker of my life. And
Mm.
everybody, for the first 5 years of my career, everybody called me Margaret Thatcher. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Personally, I don't see myself as a Margaret Thatcher, but because naturally women are, they lead from the heart, not from the head, if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
Women
yes,
want
ma'am.
things done, and they want it done in a particular way. So, because I want things done in a particular way, and I just want things to go on smoothly, people just
Mm.
call me, oh, Margaret Thatcher is here. Oh, she's here. Oh, she's here. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I started reading about leadership. I started attending seminars. I registered for courses, and I could see what I was doing wrong that was making my male counterparts and even female, everybody that was leading then, I could see why they were calling me,
Yeah.
yeah,
Margaret.
Margaret Thatcher. And
Okay, ma'am.
gradually, I began to work on myself. And now I can call myself a transformational leader. The last team I led had more males than female, because
Mm.
mostly I work in a male-dominated sphere. And now they say, oh, you have evolved over the years. And I could see that, oh, yeah, truly, I have evolved. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Oh, yes, you have, ma. That's really beautiful. Was
Thank
there
you.
a particular situation, right, in all of this that really just struck you, that stood out, that made you just really realize, I don't know, like a scenario that made you just realize like women and men are definitely not the same. We are clearly different when it comes to like leadership. Was there like a situation like that that really like impacted you and made you come to that realization, like in that made you come to that realization that women and men are different when it comes to leadership, ma?
Yeah, I could cite so many examples, but let me cite one recently. So in the last few months, we've been working on delivery of a particular IT delivery, and a lot of men were in that group, and I was the project management. And there was one day we were brainstorming, even up to 1 a.m. in the morning, we were there discussing, brainstorming, how are we going to get this job done and all of that. And I didn't know when I said women in tech.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then the men, everybody, everywhere just went silent. And I knew that, oh, Temi, you said something you're not supposed to say. This is male-dominated environment. And I quickly addressed that. And I said, oh, okay, so not only women in tech, everybody here are in tech, and I'm not just particular about women.
Yeah, yes,
And
ma'am.
I was able to salvage the situation. That's by the way. One thing that I changed over the years was to work on my choleric nature. I'm a
Okay.
very, if you know me, you know that I'm how will I say myself? I don't talk. I don't talk. You won't see me talking, doing all of those. But my personality is very strong. I have choleric traits.
Wow.
So because people that know me know that, oh, this is a very strong lady and a very quiet one at that. I don't know whether you are getting the scenario. Those two
Yes,
characters
ma'am.
don't go hand in hand, but I have them both. I can be very quiet. And at the same time, you cannot come and push me over.
Mm.
You are going to give me strong reasons why I need to be pushed over. if there is going to be anything like that. So because of that, people that I work with, they will tell you that Temi will not take no for an answer. Temi will not do this, Temi will not do that. But over the years, I have learned to be diplomatic. I have learned to uh, push my motives forward, my aims forward, without being seen as a choleric, without being seen as a Margaret Thatcher. Now I can have conversation. Give me your reason, I'll present my reasons, and then we can meet at the middle. Or if I need to shift my position, yes, you cannot win all battles. If you are a woman and you are in leadership, you know that you need to choose your battles. If you don't want to be pushed over, if you don't want to be seen as someone that is pushy, if you don't want to be seen as someone that is just wanting to have his or her way all of the time. So I have learned that, okay, when you are working with even females, both male and females, you need to be able to present your strong cases and then be able to meet people in the middle. It is not all the time that you will have your way or your views will be taken all of the time.
Wow, thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. We've barely even started and I'm already learning a lot. I think that whenever I read up on women in leadership, they always like to emphasize on the fact that they are not pushovers. They are not pushovers. I think that it's a, I don't know, would I call it like a strategy to make sure that people don't look at them and believe that, oh, we are women, so that means you can walk all over us. No, you can't do that. So I think that's very, very admirable, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. I really
Thank
learned a
you.
lot. I really learned
Thank
a lot.
you.
Ma. So my next question is directed to Miss Damilola. Welcome, Ma. So my question for you is, have you ever been in a room where you felt like your voice wasn't being heard? And how did you handle it? Maybe a situation whereby everybody was contributing and it felt like what you were saying wasn't giving enough weight and no one was really listening. And when you were in that situation, how did you handle it, Ma?
All right, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. Am I audible? Can you confirm?
Yes, Ma. You're very audible.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, interesting question. Unfortunately, yes. I've been in a room where it felt like my voice wasn't being heard. And I think, let me share, there's been a moment where it's a room actually full of men, and I shared an idea. It was somehow swept under the floor, and surprisingly, someone else gave the same idea and it received all recognition. Now, that is so frustrating. And it's over time, it's something that is very common. It's a common experience for women in leadership, particularly when you are in a room that is filled with men. Um, that assumption of better suggestions can come from men. And if there is need for any lesser suggestion, you now face the women to say, okay, do you have anything to contribute to the discussion? So how have I been able to handle it? Well, over time, I have learned to be intentional about asserting my presence. And I think as women, that's something that we really need to do. We need to find ways to redirect the conversation back to the point that we are trying to make. Because if we let this go, it's going to keep happening, right? And it turns out that we'll not have that room to amplify our contributions. So we need to always be intentional about making our presence known, our points known, and being valued. We don't need to shrink ourselves because other people are failing to acknowledge what we have to say or the contribution that we have to make. Um, so what happens is it gets to the point where people will not even think you matter again. Like you will be in a room and people will not even feel your presence. So there may be a couple of times when we find ourselves in that kind of situation. The best advice I can give is for us to find a way to redirect the conversation and make our points known. I think that's one way I've been able to handle that situation. I always make sure that it could be something as simple as I earlier mentioned. So that is me taking you back to the point that I earlier mentioned, because somebody else is saying it, but the person is receiving the recognition, the same thing I have said, and it was swept under the floor. So we need to take the conversation back to what we were saying and make sure that our voice is being heard. If people are failing to acknowledge your contribution, it's okay, but just don't stop speaking because of that. We need to keep making our voice known, especially in rooms where important discussions are being made. So thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Ma. That was very, very eye-opening, even for me. Mike, earlier you made a statement. You said something about making our presence known. You also said that okay, we could take the question backwards and just tell them like, oh, as I earlier said, something like that. I thought that was pretty interesting. But what if you are in, I don't know, an environment where it feels like they don't even want to hear your voice? And maybe it's probably because of this mentality that you are a woman and probably they even feel like you shouldn't even be in this space that you are, but somehow you've gotten to this space. How can you handle that? Because I I I feel like a lot of people don't even want to be in a space whereby it's like you are constantly talking, you are constantly trying to make your views known. You won't have probably have the brightest of ideas, but nobody even cares. Nobody wants to listen. What do you think that one can do in such a situation? Because would always trying to re-emphasize what you've already said in the past, would it make a difference? What do you think it is? What do you think is a step further from just re-emphasizing things that you've already said, Ma?
Well, thank you. I think a step further to what I've said would be for us to show up with confidence, regardless of what people think about our idea of our contribution. To be very honest, one of the biggest challenges that we face as women is being underestimated. And I'm very sure that we are going to agree with that. And so for we women, it takes us to over and over again prove the credibility of our competence. And that's just how the society has required. You'll see women that are attaining top leadership position, and you will hear talks like, "Oh, she's just lucky." And that's the kind of society that we are finding ourselves. People are finding it very, very hard to believe that, oh, she has the competence, oh, she's really capable. And then you just hear talks like, oh, she's lucky. Or you hear talks like, oh, she knows someone that knows someone. That's why she's able to get that. So for us to shift this perspective and for us to make our intentions, being known, we need to show up with confidence. We need to deliver results. Because honestly, if you ask me, with this age and century, this is not the kind of conversation that we're supposed to be having. We are supposed to be, having a very structured environment that allows leadership to be by merit, by skills, by your potential, and not just by gender. You hear talks like, these roles are for women, not for men. You hear talks like, oh, she's a lady or she can't do this. Let's make her the vice. Let's make a man the president. The question is, what stops a woman from being the president? So whenever we find ourselves in a room where even after trying to ascertain your presence, your voices are still being not heard, your competence is being underestimated. I think the best advice would be for us to still keep showing up with confidence. You see, the very few top women in leadership that we can talk about in several sectors, political sectors, the corporate world, majority of them, if you ask them, you would realize that time and over again, it takes extra effort for them to show up confidently, deliver results, and own to their expertise, and let people know that this is me, this is what I am saying, this is the contribution that I can give, and I want you all to hear my voice. So it boils down on us showing up with confidence at all times, regardless of whether the room is ready to hear what we have to say or not. We just need to keep showing up.
Wow, thank you so much, Ma. That's a pretty powerful response. Just continue, just keep showing up. That's a pretty powerful response. I feel like it just means that we are not giving up. It doesn't matter how the environment responds to us, as long as we show that we are not giving up. I think that really makes us like a force to reckon with. Thank you so much, Ma. That was really powerful. So my next question goes to Mrs. Temitope. Yes, Ma. So my question for you is this. Women are often told that we have to work twice as hard as men, right? I believe that we've heard this all our lives. And even when we are not told about it directly, it's like your environment tells you that this is it. You have to work twice as hard. So have you ever felt that pressure, like that pressure of like knowing that you have to work twice as hard as everyone? I mean, the opposite gender, obviously. And do you think it's a fair advice to give to women?
I feel it is not a fair advice to give to women, but if you are going to be realistic, if you are going to be truthful to ourselves and to other young women out there, we will tell them, we will say the truth. So I have a daughter who is 17-year-old, and I told her, I said, for you to be among the top 10 in this country, not in Nigeria, in this country, you are going to have to work 3 times harder than the citizens and the men in this STEM sphere that said you are choosing. Do you understand what I'm saying? I feel it is not fair, but it is what it is. If we look at it, we will say it's a man's world. And to be fair, it is. It took me a long while, years, to break away from this stereotype. I'm going to cite a very practical example. And I think Madam Damilola is also, she's nodding her head. Now look at it. You are a young woman. You just got married. Your husband is maybe just got a bank job, 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. You also, maybe you are an executive somewhere, 9 to 6. Both of you are bringing a little bit of office work back home. When your husband comes back home, he goes to his table and continue with his work. When you get back home, can you do same as a woman? Put that on one hand. On the second aspect that I want to look at it, most of us, we work in the male-dominated area. And the first thing you are going to hear is, oh, you are a woman, you cannot do it. But one thing that I keep saying to my male counterparts is, you cannot deny results. When you see results, whether you like it or not, you will give that merit to who deserves the merit, whether you like it or not, unless there is no structure at all in that place where you're working. And if there's no structure at all, then you're working in a very toxic place and you need to find your way out of that place before it affects your mentality. Because we as women, we are not only functional in our offices or our work area. Our children are looking up to us. The community is being structured by us. The next generation is looking up to us. We have a lot of responsibility on our neck, and we cannot afford to fail. That is why, whether we like it or not, you said it's 2 times the work. I say it's 3 times. I will say it's 3 times. You are going to think about what your family will eat. You are going to plan the meal for the week. You are going to make how that meal will happen. Not only planning market runs, not only planning how the food will get to the house, not only planning how the meal will be cooked and prepared and served. You're also thinking about so many things at work. So if you have a supportive partner, that area becomes lesser. I've been married for close to 19 years, and I'll still tell people publicly, I will not talk about marriage because we have crazy ideas about marriage, especially these young people that are 5 years, 6 years, 10 years into marriage. They think marriage is 50-50. I tell you, there's nothing like that. Forget it. We are not talking about marriage today. But one thing I will say to you that if you're a woman and you're in leadership position or you're aspiring to be a leader, you are going to work 3 times more harder than your husband or your male counterpart. Go and ask Ibukun Awushika how she got to the top. There was one day I listened to one of her messages, I think on either YouTube or Instagram, I don't know. She said one day they were trying to recruit for a senior manager. And the team that was in charge brought the person that, oh, we have interviewed this person, he's done the test, he's gone through all the screening. This is the person we are bringing forward. And they sent it to her office. And she said, okay, that's fine. Arrange for a meeting with him, with me. I'm going to interview him and see what comes out of it. And when she sees this young man, she discussed and she blessed the person and said, okay, you are fit for the job. I'm sending you forward. Guess what happened? 2 weeks after, the people that said, oh, this is the man we have interviewed, this is the person we are bringing forward, they came back and said, oh, Mrs. Ibukun, we made a mistake. This person is no longer the person that we thought he is. There was a mistake in the recruitment process, blah, blah, blah. They wrote a very fantastic email and sent it to Ibukun Awoshika, and Ibukun said, oh, okay, I have seen this person. I've interviewed him, I've interacted with him, and I think this person will deliver on this role. Therefore, there is no mistake anywhere. We are not reversing what we've done. This is the person we are bringing forward. And look at that level of leadership. After she has made up her decision and she has made up her mind, the management gave her a tough time regarding that decision that she refused to revert. But because you cannot deny results, because you cannot, when you see that, oh, this person delivers, you cannot, that person cannot be a pushover. That person cannot just, you can't easily overturn such person. That decision she made was permanent. They couldn't do anything about it. Even though they grumbled, they wrote petition, they wrote email, everybody fought her. At the end of the day, her decision stood. If she's not the kind of person she is, she will have fidgeted, she will have been afraid of the male counterpart that was saying, oh, this decision needs to be reversed and all of that, but she stood her ground. That is doing twice the work. That is putting your feet down. To women leaders, to my proteges, I tell them two things. Number one, be the very best in what to do. Be very hard to be replaceable. Don't make your job easy to take away. Even if they're going to recruit another, make it very difficult for them to replace you. Be very good at what to do. Number two, add confidence. 10, 15 years ago, I am not this kind of person. I couldn't even face camera to talk to anybody. I was that timid. I was that afraid. I was that scared that, can you do this? Are you sure? Even though I was qualified, even though I had all the degrees, even though I had whatever it took then, but because I lacked the confidence, I was leading, but I was not leading with confidence. I was leading, but I was still afraid of my male counterparts. But over the years, I have evolved, I have read, I have attended seminars, I have attended so many seminars, I have registered for so many courses that have made me who I am today. Now, even if you carry fire on your head, we will bring it down. We are going to help you to bring it down. So I will say that statement you made is true. Whether it is fair or not, I will say life is not fair. Life is not fair. So, as women, we are going to work 3 times harder. Forget that 2 times. When your male counterparts are sleeping at 10 p.m., if you have something to deliver in the next 1 week, you are not going to be sleeping. The project I delivered last month, oh my God, because I was the team leader, I was the project coordinator, I will give a portion of assignment to somebody. If they don't deliver, it falls back on me. It is not their name that is at stake. It is my name. So I would rather make sure that I have plan A, B, C, D for that one job that I've given out, because that job must succeed. If it doesn't succeed, it's coming back to me. So that's working 3 times harder. Having teenagers as children is working 3 times harder. Leading a family is working 3 times harder. So as a woman leader, are you going to work harder more than your male counterparts? It's a given. You will. Go and ask Deborah. Go and ask Esther. Go and ask all these female leaders. They work 10 times harder. So if you are going to show results, because nobody can deny results, if you deliver on project, if you deliver on your deliverables, even your male counterpart will say, okay, ma, yes, ma. They don't have a choice. But you need to rise up to the occasion and be ready to roll your sleeves and get dirty while doing the work. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Yes, Ma, you have. Thank you so much, Ma. But I want to have clarification on something though. You mentioned earlier that in fact we have to work 3 times harder, not 2 times harder. So I just want to understand from your perspective, do you think that the whole idea, the whole concept of working 3 times harder is a necessary evil for women? That it is the spice that makes us women, that we have to live with it? Or do you actually think that it's something that we should be unburdened by? I mean, maybe the work should be shared. We shouldn't have to work as hard as we work for certain things. I just want to know your opinion from that view, Ma.
Okay, I think I get where you're heading to. But the truth, a lot of people don't want to hear it. And that's why if you are my close pal, I will tell you for free. Number one, life is not fair. Number two, there is nothing, absolutely nothing like equality. There's nothing like that. We are going to share the burden, yes, but our nature as women will come into play, and their nature as men will come into play. I am not saying it's a necessary evil that, oh, we have to do this. But for now, that's the work that that needs to be done. And we need to be ready to do the work so that the next generation leaders, the next group of leaders that will come after us will have it easier. If we don't do the work now, 10, 15, 20 years to come, we are still going to be talking about this. If our mothers that gave birth to us, that raised us, if they did the work as we are doing it now, we won't be in this mess that we are. So the onus is resting on us to do the work, fight the freedom fight, fight for that equality, fight for that, how will I say it, gender rights, and make sure that the next generation does not suffer what we are suffering. It is not necessary that we go through all of this. It's absolutely unnecessary. If a woman is an engineer and she can deliver on a project, she can do what she says she can do, then for crying out loud, give them the liberty, give them the opportunity to do it. But we know that nobody is going to give you what you deserve unless you fight for it. That's what is called freedom. Freedom is not free. Nobody is going to hand you freedom. You have to fight and ask for it. And that's what we are doing as advocates now, so that the next generation of leaders can have it easier than we are doing right now.
So much, Ma. Honestly, as this session just progresses, I'm honestly feeling super, super inspired. I'm always so amazed when I see older women, especially the millennials, when they are speaking up for the truth. Because I don't know, maybe it's just my own view, but because I've always felt like millennials were more of the traditional aspect. So when I see, of course, women in the millennials and they are speaking up for what they believe is true, they're speaking up for what they believe is right. I'm always in so much, or I'm always so much so inspired. So thank you so much, Ma. That was just a great response. Thank you so much, Ma. So my next question is directed to Miss Damilola. So Ma, can you share a moment where you thought to yourself, this is too hard, but you pushed through it anyway? And what made the difference for you?
Well, thank you. I actually have a lot of moments, a whole lot of moments when I've actually thought this is too hard. Can I continue? Do I have the strength to keep going? Um, I'm not sure which of these moments I should share, but I do have a lot of moments like that. Okay, so let me see. Okay. Sometimes last year, I I was currently on as at then I was currently on my MBA program, and at the same time I have to work. I work with Student for Liberty as the African Programs Associate. That comes with a lot of responsibility and to do tasks. At the same time, I was running a program with a school called School of Politics, Policy and Governance. And at the same time, I also have my own organization, Oak Foundation for Grassroots Impact, where I also need to see to things and see how some of our activities are being carried out. And at the same time, you see, I can go on and on and on. That. So there was a time last year when I was actually overwhelmed. I felt completely overwhelmed. Now, when I say completely overwhelmed, I felt like, okay, what's going on? I feel like I was doing too many things at the same time, and I am losing myself to the so many things I was doing. And to be fair, I'm sure I'm not the only one that must have felt like this at one point or the other. We all have that time when we feel like we are overburdened, we are pressured, a lot of things are going on at the same time, and we need to see that they are a success, right? So, what are some of the things that has actually helped me to push through? The very top on my list is my why, my WHY. Um, my why keeps me going. Um, See, I used to tell people that it's okay if you don't have a full grasp of your journey in life, but to a very good extent, if you understand your journey and your purpose in life, it helps you to stay focused on the journey. And in a case where you are overwhelmed, it helps you to fall back to track your why. When you understand the reason why you are doing what you are doing. Like my co-panelist has mentioned, she said, time and over again, if you deliver results, nobody can deny results, right? So that means it takes a level of confidence, of consistency, of you showing up for you to show that kind of result that will make people shut their mouth when they want to say otherwise. And so one thing that would help you to actually do that is understanding your why. So when you are focused on the bigger purpose, it helps you to look at obstacles with a very small lens, and it helps you to stay focused. So understanding my why has been one of the things that has helped me to keep going. I understand the reason why I'm doing my MBA. I understand the reason why I am doing this course. I understand the reason why I am working with Students for Liberty. I understand the reason why I have this organization and we are doing this activity. I understand the reason why I want to do this thing that I am doing. And so it helps me to keep going, even when it's not easy. And so you just see that time that you are feeling overwhelmed, that you feel pressured and burdened, it's just a phase. And that phase would pass away. And you just find a way to balance up and then things keeps going on. Another thing that actually helps me, I'm saying this from my own personal perspective, right? Another thing that helps me is affirmations. I really love to speak positively to myself, especially when I feel like, oh, I can't do this again. Then you just see me. I just go on to say, Oluwadamilola, you can actually do this. Oluwadamilola, you're strengthened. Oluwadamilola, you've started your MBA program and you're going to finish it. Oluwadamilola, you have a task to do today. You need to deliver this to your boss and you will do it. So affirmation really works a lot for me. It has a way of changing my mood, right? And then I just get that strength to do what I want to do, even when I know it's not easy. And also, I have also learned this one, I had to learn it, to be very honest. I have also learned to take things easy and slow down when the time, I mean, when it's necessary, when the time calls for slowing down. A lot of times, because of that pressure of, just like my co-panelists have said, working times three, putting in times three efforts for your work to be known, for your competence to be obvious, for your relevance to not be on the mind. You have to just keep showing up and showing up. But I need to put it to us that there are times when we need to slow down. There are times when we need to take it easy on ourselves, because at the end of the day, we might even not be able to do so much if we have a lot going on and our mind is messed up. See, if we want to go into the emotional labor that we women carry in leadership roles, it's a conversation that will probably not even finish on this call today. So there are a couple of times when we actually, as women, need to slow down, especially the way our body is wired. There are times when we go on our monthly period, and all of those times you just need to slow down, take care of your health, ensure that you're in a good position to do whatever you're doing. So I had to learn that. I had to learn that it's okay for me to slow down. It's okay for me not to get results sometimes. It's okay for me to ask for excuse to rest. I had to learn that. So it's okay for us to actually slow down. I'm telling us that now based on experience. And then lastly, one thing that has helped me a lot is a strong support system. See, we cannot do so much in isolation. Even this, I have to learn it to us. So I have to be very honest with us on this call. We cannot do so much in isolation. We need, no matter how competent you think you are, no matter how strong you think you are, we need strong support system. We need a community that can always remind us that this is the reason why we are doing what we are doing. For you, having a strong support system could be having a mentor that would always put you on track. For you, it could be having friends that do the same thing that you do and they will always support you. For you, your support system could even be your family, your brothers and sisters, always reminding you that you're capable of doing what you're doing. Leadership is hard. One, women in leadership is harder. Two, so we need that support system. We can't do it alone. You need to create a community of people that are like minds, people that do the same thing that you do, so that you can learn from them, so that you can collaborate with them, so that you can exchange ideas with them. You need to be amongst peers that would always remind you that you are not alone. Having a strong support system, it works always. It helps us anytime we feel overwhelmed. And I think that's something that everyone should have. Let me stop here for word of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. In fact, I could actually keep on listening to you, just like continue. I don't even mind that all at this point. When we were speaking about your why, I actually just started just traveling in my own mind. And I was realizing that I think that a lot of things that I would want to do, even as a woman, is that I think for me, I have to be passionate about it, because if I'm not actually passionate about what I want to do, like you said, when you get to those roadblocks, when you get to like those hard moments, when you feel like you're so overwhelmed, it's like you just want to, just give up. I was actually going to ask you a question, but you actually answered the question while you were speaking. So it was definitely an encompassing response. I was actually going to ask you that what is the balance between my why and the end result of just pushing, like assuming the end result is kind of risky, because I know of a situation that's currently going on in the University of Ibadan. There's this student that's pretty much passionate about the fees must fall thing, and she's currently facing expulsion simply for just speaking up about it, because she's passionate about it, obviously. And I just looked at our why, and then I looked at the risk, like at the end of the road. And when you talked about the fact that you can't always, how do I let me just paraphrase now. You said you may not always get it like right all the time. That just really answered my question, because personally I was thinking to myself that there has to be a balance. If you know that what you are pushing for, it's pretty risky, maybe it's like a 50-50, even your why has to be balanced with what you are pushing for. I don't know if what I'm saying is pretty coherent right now, but
Yes,
that was my understanding.
absolutely. Absolutely, you're right. And then to add to that, I would also like to say it's okay to revisit your why. It's okay to revisit the reason why you are doing what you're doing, right? It doesn't have to be perfect at a goal. Um, Even your purpose in life, it's not something that you actually just. So that's the reason why you would see someone for your bachelor's degree, you studied this, for your master's degree, you're studying this, probably a science student, and then you're venturing into the development sector. It's okay for you to revisit your why over and over again. It doesn't have to be perfect at a goal. So just ensuring that you're on track as to the reason why you're doing what you're doing is very important.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. So my next question is directed to Mrs. Temitope. So Ma, what's that one person who helped you find your voice as a leader? What did they do that really, really stuck with you? And that just made you decide that I'm going to voice out as a leader and just be the person that I am today?
That's a very interesting question. My response is going to shock you. That one person is my husband. Yeah, that's him. That one person that helped me come out of my shell, gave me the voice. And yeah, that one person is my husband. When we got married, he could see through me that this lady has so much potential that is being bottled up because of childhood experiences, because of trauma, because of a lot of things. So for context, when I tell people that I'm from a polygamous family, they don't believe it. They said I don't look like somebody that came from a polygamous family. I said, okay, no problem. My polygamous family is not just one wife, two wives, three wives. Yeah, it's really a polygamous family in the real sense of it. And because of that, a lot of things were going on when I was growing up. And I became this intelligent and timid nerd. Yeah. But when I got married, my husband would buy a lot of books. He will criticize my work. Then I was doing my master's in chemistry in UI in 1990, no, 2007. Yeah. So he will buy a lot of books. I will write scientific articles. He will criticize and criticize and criticize. So I felt, wait, you this man, do you actually hate me or do you love me as a person or am I your wife? We said, don't worry, you may not understand now, but you're going to understand in the future. He gave me that voice. He gave me the courage. He gave me the boldness, the confidence. He won't take no, he won't take an excuse for an answer. If I say, oh, because of this and this and this, I cannot do this, you say, lie, lie, you can. You can do it. Go and do it. Go and put your head there. If you fail, it is better than not trying at all because the regret of not trying is deeper and it's far-reaching than the regret of failing. If you fail, yeah, you have tried it. You've learned one way of not doing it, of not how to do it. You've learned something. You will have met people. You will have done this. It will give me different scenarios. And because of his encouragement and not giving up, I began to see reasons and I began to register myself for courses, go for seminars, sat down to read, study, and I could see that, okay, even though we don't have a lot of women leaders that can be sponsors, that can be advocates, that can be mentors. We still have a little of them. We have few of them that we can look up to. And he pointed me to them and I began to read about them. I began to study their lifestyle and how did they achieve this? How did this person become this person that she is today? They've not always been like this. What barriers did they have to walk through? What did they do? And those are the things that actually helped me. Those are the things that helped me. And when I look back, I still call him my mentor till today. And a lot of women will say, oh, my husband cannot teach me how to drive. He's going to be a disaster. I cannot stand it. I cannot, I can. I hear a lot of that, but my husband actually taught me how to drive. Yeah, he did. Was he a patient person? No, he's not patient, but me too, I'm not patient. So it's like choleric jam choleric, and then we are going to find a way to work around it. So that person is my husband. But now I've been able to look out to some other women that are helping me, and I've been able to develop some young ladies that I will say, oh, This is how to do it. This is how to do it. So as I'm receiving, I'm also pouring out so that I won't become an island. Whatever I receive, I pour it out. I make myself a channel so that as I receive, I pour it out to other people. As you two are receiving, I tell them, whatever you learn, whether from me or from somebody else, find someone, be a sponsor to someone. When you come in through the door, even though nobody opened the door for you, even though you've not been there for, people have not been there for you in the past, you must not pass down that attitude, that cause, that problem to the oncoming generation. Be the person that will open the door for others. Be that person that will be a sponsor to other women. And when I talk about finances today, when I talk about investing, when I talk about children with additional needs, when I talk about public health, people will come and say, tell me, wait, which area are you? What are you doing exactly? I said, I'm everywhere. Because I have personal experiences on all of this. So if going back to your question, that one person that held my hand and brought me out of that miry clay, out of that timidity, out of that I cannot do it, out of that self-doubt. That person is my husband. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma.
Yeah.
It's very clear that your husband is in fact super passionate about you. And now that you mentioned that he's your mentor, you've in a way roped yourself into answering the next question, Ma. So hope you don't mind. So
Yeah.
when we talk about mentorship, I would like that we flip it a bit. What's something a younger woman has taught you about leadership? Maybe someone that should have been looking up to you, or obviously is looking up to you, but you learned a thing or two from her. Like that you just shared that.
Yeah. So I have a lot of young ladies around me that we work together. I won't call myself their mentor, but they call me their mentor. And I tell them, well, if you see me in that regard, I am honored. But one thing I am learning from them is the ability to ask for help when they need it. I didn't have that. I thought I was a superwoman because I saw the way. Let me be vulnerable with you. My mom, it's somebody that is a very strong woman, but will not ask for help. And because of that, she struggled a lot. And I kind of had that part of her, that attribute. I know that this is a problem. I've been equipped. I should be able to solve it. And because of that, I will not ask for help. And if you ask for help, and maybe a journey that could have taken you 3 weeks, 4 weeks, even 6 months, if you ask for help, you can get that work done in 2 days, in 3 days, even within hours. And this is what the community of the women I lead, they are all younger than I am. But when we sit together, I tell them, you've taught me this one thing, how to open my mouth and ask for help when I'm stuck. So you can't see me getting stuck on anything. Even going back to them, oh, is there anybody that knows somebody that knows somebody that can get this done for me? Or can I be taught how to do this? Or how can I get this? The problem I'm facing, this is my challenge right now. Who knows how to do it? And they will all rally around and say, oh, madam, don't worry. We are on it. We will get it done. So I'm learning that a lot from them. How to be courageous and how not to feel that asking for help is a sign of weakness. That is a shame. No, it is not. It's actually one of our strongest points. If you are stuck, open your mouth and ask. Nobody's going to kill you for it. You are not El Shaddai. You are not all in all. Nobody's an island of knowledge. And we have to surround ourselves with quality people such that whether they are younger or older, it doesn't matter. We are able to form that symbiotic relationship and help ourselves when the need arises. Have I answered your question?
You have perfectly answered my question, Ma. Thank you so, so much, Ma.
Thank
So
you.
our final question tonight is directed to Miss Damilola. So, Ma, what's one barrier that women still face today, at least based on your personal opinion? What's one barrier that you believe that women still face today, and how can all of us, men inclusive, help break that barrier?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there are a lot of them, but one major one is unconscious bias. Till date, women, we still face a lot of assumptions about what we should do, what we shouldn't do, what we are capable of doing, what we are not capable of doing in leadership. And this cut across every sector. It's the same thing in the political sector, in the corporate world, in the business world. You see, this unconscious bias has always been there. Like, these are the positions that women can hold. These are the positions that men can hold. Oh no, no women should be found holding these positions. All of these biases, they are just not fair on the women gender. And so instead of us discussing about what a woman can do and cannot do, we should create a conducive and welcoming environment where recognition is being made by people's merit, people's competence, people's knowledge of doing things, not by gender or by being a man or a woman, right? And this is something that whether you are a man, whether you're a woman, every one of us needs to take action to cutting off all of this unconscious bias. We see this bias when it comes to hiring, the issues like the male being favored than the female when it comes to some certain position, promotion, even in our everyday conversations too as well. You'll be surprised to know the percentage of men that believes that there are still a lot of things that women are not capable of doing because of their gender, right? We also need to find ways to support when we are hearing conversations where women involvement are being discussed. Let's not keep quiet. We need to make our voice known. We need to be part of these conversations like the one we are having today that has gathered every one of us here on this call. We need to be included in conversations like this. Like, it's not enough for us to just fold our hands and start saying we can do it, we can do it. We actually need to put in actions and give the men enough reason for them to know that yes, indeed, women should be included in discussions that matters. And so if we keep our mouth shut, there's no way we want to, prove and break all of this glass ceiling to let people know that women matters and indeed we matter. And there is also, I think that this one will be yielded towards my co-panelist points in the last question that you asked her. We need to mentor ourselves. We need to support ourselves. We need to open doors for ourselves. We don't need to gatekeep. If there is any opportunity that you as a woman, and you are sure that it will be beneficial to the next woman that is close to you, please, as much as possible, actively open these doors. Let us open doors for young women that are upcoming. Let us open doors for our peer mates. Let us open doors for even those that are older than us, whether in hierarchy, in position, or in age. We just need to collectively come together and support ourselves as women. So when we are talking about women issue, when we are talking about gender equality or equity, as the case may be, it's a collective responsibility. It's one where we need the involvement of men, and not just men alone, but also we, the women, that is being directly affected by this discussion. We need to be a part of this discussion. We need to be involved in where discussions or conversations about women involvement are being made. And when we do this, we try to change or shift the perspective. We will not keep trying. We will not stop until we see that changes. I mean, if we are following the recent news today, I mean, that's going on, right? We would see that we still have a very long way to go when it comes to giving women their voices, when it comes to recognizing women's voices, when it comes to recognizing that women matters in the society, that we still have a very long way to go. However, we will not stop trying. However, we need every one of us to be involved in ensuring that women are not swiped under the floor when it comes to making some of these decisions. I think our time is fast spent, and I would stop with that. Do we need to give any parting words?
Yes, ma. Yeah, No, we parting words. You can take it now. Well, before you do, I would just want to say that yes, you mentioned the fact that we still have a long way to go, and that's really true. But we all believe that at the end of the day, we are definitely going to break the barrier, definitely going to change the status quo. Because when we have women like yourself and Mrs. Timitokwe, being enlightening us, because to be honest, for me this evening, I've learned so much. I'm just trying to wrap up as much as possible. I've learned so much. I feel so inspired. Like if I was ever feeling like I couldn't do something before, now I know for a fact that I need to sit up and keep pushing. I know that I need to work twice as hard and just like always show up. So I'm so grateful for everything that I've learned this evening. So Ma, you can just give us your final words in a minute. Thank you.
Okay, is it me? I should give the final word.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so one thing I would say to um, us, not to the younger generation that is coming. We've seen a pattern in the past that is not favorable to women. We need to change it. How can we change it? Why? What are the barriers? What is a barrier? A barrier is something that doesn't allow another thing to move forward. Like you want to move from point A to point B, something is preventing you. What are those barriers? It is basically stereotypes. What a man can do, a woman cannot do it. What a woman can, they are all bullshit. But how can we change the perspective? Number one, I'm saying it to us, not to the younger generation. Be the best in what to do. If you are an engineer, be one of the top engineers in your field. If you are a public health activist, be one of the best in your field, because nobody can deny results. If you know it, it will show. That's number two. Number three, become a better version of yourself, because there is no leadership without character. There is no leadership without good attitude. You can't be a leader if you are selfish. All you know is yourself, me and myself, me and I. You are not ready. Leadership is about servanthood. And if you are not ready to wash other people's feet, if you are not ready to be misunderstood, if you are not ready to uh, to be ill-spoken of, you are not ready to be a leader. So I will say, number three, be a better version of yourself. And number four, be ready to be a sponsor. When you are in the room, make sure that you are at the door, opening that door for other women to come in, whether young, old, smaller, whatever. Be that person at the door that will open doors, hold the door for others to come in. Be that person. If you do this four, in another 5 years, we will see the travail of our souls in leadership. And that's the truth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Miss Damilola, do you have any final words for us as well?
All right, thank you very much. So I think I would like to encourage everyone on the call to belong in every room that you step into. Own your presence. See, we are first of being a woman, it's you against the world. So in any room you find yourself, as much as possible, own your presence. I know a lot of us deal with imposter syndrome. We have that doubt of not being qualified enough to lead. And I know we've talked a lot about confidence on the call today. But again, let's understand that confidence doesn't mean having the answers to everything. It's just us believing that one way or the other we can figure things out. So in every room we find ourselves, own your presence. Another one I would like to highlight is it's okay for us not to be perfect. I know some of us deal a lot with perfectionism. We always want to be perfect, but we really need to shift from being a perfectionist to ensuring that there is progress. I've always been there before. I always feel like I need to have everything figured out before I can take action. But I want to let every one of us know today that our focus should be on making progress. Progress for you may be baby steps. Progress for you can be a big leap. Whatever it is, let's just make sure that we are focusing on making progress as women in leadership and not just perfection only. Let's take that bold step. Let's step up. Let's speak up. And let's know that as a woman, in our agenda, we are more than enough. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, it's been such an insightful conversation. So I just want to quickly say a huge thank you to our incredible panelists for sharing their wisdom and their experiences and their strategies with us today. We are so grateful and we are truly inspired. And to everyone who joined us today, thank you for being part of this important conversation. So I hope that we can take what we've learned and also put it into action in all our own personal leadership journeys. And then finally, I would just like to tell us that this event today, this webinar rather, was packaged by the Free Future Foundation and Women for Liberty. Thank you all so much once again for joining, and we hope to see you at our next webinar. Have a great day. Thank you so much.